Though Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has remained tight-lipped about throwing his heart into the presidential contest in 2023, several support groups have busied themselves selling his candidacy all over the country. Unsurprisingly, their efforts have not gone unnoticed by other presidential hopefuls, such as Bola Ahmed Tinubu, whose camp has noted the high-profile political endorsements and moves by canvassers of the vice president's purported presidential aspiration. The endorsements have been especially manifest in the north and recently moved to the south, with Delta State as the first launch pad. According to a news report in the Vanguard newspaper, sources in the Tinubu camp have expressed concern that Osinbajo may be the secret weapon President Muhammadu Buhari mentioned in his recent television interview. During the interview, President Buhari declined to name his preferred candidate for the 2023 presidential election, saying the person may come to harm if he did so. Now joining us to discuss Osinbajo's alleged presidential bid and tell us why his supporters think he's the most credible person to succeed President Buhari is Dr. Eli Eberechukwu Dibia, National Secretary of the National Coalition Group for Osinbajo 2023. Good morning, Dr. Dibia, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Dr. Ruben, for having me.
Yes, thank you for joining us. Well, very quickly, why do you think Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo is the best man for the job, the presidency in 2023? And what we're told is that all these groups, including yours, are the ones saying, oh, he should throw his heart into the ring. What if he's not interested? Why are you people forcing him? Why don't you just allow him to say he's interested? Must you force a person who is not interested?
Well, Ruben, to start with, the presidency of Nigeria is not just an ambition that should be left for Osinbajo, Professor Yemi Osinbajo alone. It is something all of us must come together to look inwards and be able to get a president that could stand the integrity test. And having looked around and studied the array of people that are showing interest in the Nigerian presidential project, the National Coalition Group decided to pitch their tent with Professor Yemi Osinbajo. We have no discussion with him. It is a selfless volunteer effort to ensure that we will restore and sustain our nascent democracy. Looking at Osinbajo, we saw a man who possesses the core values of integrity, discipline, and is a man that we can say that has dignity in labor because as a senior advocate of Nigeria, he is quite cerebral. So we are looking at a situation where whoever is going to succeed President Muhammadu Buhari, must be someone who has that level of integrity that Nigerians are looking out for, and who has the courage to do the right for things that the masses could celebrate. Going by his antecedents, we feel he's the best option for the ruling party APC to clinch the presidency of Nigeria in 2023.
Yes, but I want you to address, does he think that he's the best option? I mean, not many people will argue what you've just listed. I can't think of a politician that's universally adored, but as far as politicians go, our vice president is really popular. That said, have we not had enough in this country of reluctant or accidental presidents? I mean, when you look at our history, don't we need somebody who wants this, who is earnestly seeking this, rather than somebody who has to be dragged?
Let me differ a little from what you just said. No one is dragging Professor Yemi Osinbajo into the presidential race. Looking at his antecedent, what he was able to do in 2018 when the president left for a treatment abroad, he handed over to him as acting president. Within that 6 months, Nigerians had a full breath of fresh air. Nigerians were proud to say that they have someone acting as president, because there was this invasion at the National Assembly at that time, and he insisted and went ahead to sack the Director General who ordered that invasion, thereby exemplifying him as a man who respects the legislator, a man who has respect for the rule of law, a man who is willing to ensure that all tribes are carried along in the affairs of the country. So a lot of reasons abound, and the National Coalition group, we are not alone. There are other. We are just an umbrella body housing over 147 groups cut across the women, the youths, the students, and other related labor bodies that are actually rooting and seeking that Osinbajo becomes our next president. And it is a very big advantage to the ruling party APC. The convention is coming up by 26th of February, and we are looking forward that a chairman that will emerge will understand and consider the prosperity and fundamental issues of this country. And so doing, we have no other option than to reconsider and look at this position Nigeria is as at today. The mood of this country today requires a person of Osinbajo who could sustain and consolidate on the achievements of President Buhari. Getting a new hand into the system will take us back, and that might deter a lot of developmental strides that are already in motion. So we are rooting for Osinbajo for several reasons. In fact, he has a right of first refusal because as a loyal and humble vice president, he has served properly, and Nigerians are all yearning to see him come on board. And that is why our group is moving around, doing a lot of political engagements, consulting with stakeholders to consider the candidacy of Osinbajo as the best option for APC and for Nigeria.
A lot of people will say there's no smoke without fire. Osinbajo's spokesperson came out to say he's got nothing to do with an office, opened recently in Abuja as regards the Osinbajo movement. And I put it to you, a lot of people are saying that you can't, and all these groups can't be doing this for free. So who puts oxygen in your lungs? What's the funding like?
The funding is coming from a lot of beneficiaries who benefited from the Empower, about 500,000 of them. A lot of medium, small-scale businesses who benefited from the CAC incorporation that was done for free, over 200,000 of them. We have a litany of 21,000 members across the 774 local government of Nigeria, and the 36 states of the country plus FCT. So our funding is by our contribution. We are contributing money by ourselves. It is a tax. We see Nigeria as a project, and we don't want the old order to continue. For crying out loud, is it bad for someone who is highly cerebral and highly educated, that has experience, that is fundamentally rooted in the policies and programs of this country, to become a president? Is it not high time we stop going back to Egypt? Are we still going back to... Asodok Villa is not a retirement house. It is a place for action. It's a place for policies. It's a place for us to project Nigeria, within the foreign sphere, and then stand out as #1 in Africa. And it is not something you are going to do with. It's not a position for all comers, and it's not something anybody can, wake up from anywhere and begin to say, I want to be president. Yes, everybody has right to say you want to be president. But we must look at your credentials. We must look at your pedigree and your antecedent. We must be able... Nigeria has grown to the level of producing a president that could stand within the Committee of Nations and not just having a fair weather person as president.
Dr. Dibia, nobody needs to look into the divining tree to know that, Vice President Osinbajo has not publicly declared his interest. So if he doesn't declare such interest, what then happens to the coalition of support groups? In other words, those of you saying you must come forward. That's one. That's one. The second point is that you note that his benefactor and mentor, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, also in the same political party, has already indicated his interest. Don't you think it will amount to some kind of confrontation, disloyalty for the big man to say I'm interested, and for his commissioner, you know, that's how some people refer to the vice president, to also stand up and say, well, sir, I'm going to challenge you. How about that?
Well, the essence of having a child is for your child to grow. In the African culture and tradition, when you give birth to a child, you pray to God for that child to be bigger and higher than you. Any father who doesn't want the child to grow doesn't deserve to be a father. And such father should not be mentioned as even a person existing. So the truth, and the glaring truth, is that the mentor, as ascribed, has right to contest. The son, as ascribed or as described as commissioner, has right to contest. The problem is Nigerians need to choose who becomes their president. It is no longer a case of APC, PDP. Because if you look at what happened yesterday in Niger State, the former governor of Niger State described Yemi Osinbajo in the best of what he understands about him. And the whole world has been applauding that description. He's of PDP. But he said the truth, that he is the man, he is the best candidate that APC could present. And I want to tell you, Ruben, and my dear brother and sister, the fundamental issue is declaration. And we, the National Coalition Group, wrote him a letter giving him 30 days. That letter got to him yesterday. We are giving him 30 days to make declaration. And that declaration is aimed at him being a patriotic citizen, throwing his heart into the ring, and ensuring that the developmental strides we are enjoying today will be sustained and consolidated. So there will be no rift. There will be no problem between two people who comes to contest election. It is left for Nigerians to decide who becomes their president. And we of National Coalition Group, we are not looking for an ethnic president. We are not looking for a tribal president, because we understand that Osinbajo is a detribalized Nigerian, and we are looking for a president of a Nigerian president that will stand to answer a Nigerian president. And that will be all that will do an all-inclusive government that will bring prosperity and more progress and development to this nation, Nigeria. And that is what we stand for. We don't see any rift between him and anybody.
I was going to ask you, Doctor, about that question. I mean, you've talked about the importance of a detribalized president, which we all want, but you know that there are those who are agitating for a president from the Southeast. And I'm not asking you that because of your ethnic extraction. I'd ask any Nigerian sitting in that chair on this topic the same question. Do you think it's fair to have a president from the Southwest, which is what you're hoping that Vice President Osinbajo will be eventually, given the fact that the Southeast has not had a bite of the cherry? That's my first question. And my second question is that you have been incredibly busy, your coalition. You've been traversing the length and breadth of the country. What has the reception been like for you? Of the country, yes. Yes. What are people saying, the people that you're reaching out to for support? What kind of reaction are you getting across the country?
The reaction across the country has been very positive. The reception has been warm and welcoming. And there is no state of the Federation we have gone to that we did not receive very resounding applause. And the words of wisdom from the various stakeholders and various traditional institutions and rulers we've met. And let me put something straight so that we don't mix up this matter. Professor Yemi Osinbajo remains the only vice president in the history of this country that has stood out in conducting himself in such a manner that he has endeared himself to all. And that's why in most places we have gone, there were no skirmishes, there were no regrets of talking about Osinbajo. And then when you talk about the Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, or South-South presidency, as the case may be. Every ethnic nationality has a right to agitate for presidency. But you see, in as much as the 2000 and the confab report, the confab report of former President Goodluck Jonathan has not been implemented. Because what Nigerians love so much is what is in the books, the law. And they say the law is in the books. And where nothing is enshrined to say this must be like this, then the party uses what they call charter of equity. Or maybe uses what they call zoning convention. As I speak to you now, the party has zoned the presidency to the south. Even the opposition party have zoned their own equally to the south. Now, anyone from the south, whether southeast, south-south, southwest, is free to contest. But what we are saying is that in a football match, you must first of all put a striker who can always score the goal. We don't want a situation again in this country where we start fielding third and fourth 11 when the first 11s are there standing and starting out at the face. So we of National Coalition Group are rooting for Osinbajo because we know that his presidency will bring enormous change and put things together as it should be in this country. And we are not stopping anyone from any ethnic nationality from contesting. Okay. Everybody is free to contest, but there is this balance that when you see who is doing better than you queue behind and assist him. Assist him so that the work can go on well. The Nigerian project is bigger than all of us, and what is important is having the best, and we feel Osinbajo is the best. Okay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eli. I want to interrogate further. You said MSMEs and people that benefited from government schemes are funding this coalition. So are you inferring that those government schemes, like free registration of businesses and the likes, you people are now tasking beneficiaries of government scheme to fund things like that, which is against the law? And you said Osinbajo did those schemes. The last time I checked, those were government schemes. The MSME clinic and the like and things like that. So is it that you people are going to the back to tax people that are supposed to be beneficiaries of government scheme to fund a political campaign?
That is not true. Nothing like that is happening. The truth is that about 500,000 graduates benefited from the Empower program. And about 200,000 young business Nigerians benefited from the free CAC registration. And as I speak to you, the government of President Buhari is feeding over 9.9 million school children in various primary schools in Nigeria. And there are people who are vendors that does this food. One way or the other, they make gain out of it. I'm telling you that these people have brought themselves into a cooperative. Or women, the youths, even those of them who are still in the school, the students' bodies, they have approached us. If you go to our website, we have gotten, yesterday alone, two other groups added to the 149 we earlier had. So we now have 151 civil society group and the NGO that is rooting and saying that they are willing and ready. In fact, one of the groups says they are going to support us to buy the nomination form for the Vice President, President Yemi Osinbajo, to run. So we are not taxing anybody. It's a voluntary action. And I urge every Nigerian, you cannot sit at the comfort of your home and a credible president will emerge. We all must put our mouth into this matter. We all must be part and parcel of making of a Nigerian president. Because what we are rooting for is a Nigerian president, not an Igbo, Hausa, or Yoruba president. No, we are rooting for a Nigerian president. And we have seen that quality in the person of Osinbajo.
Okay, Dr. Eli, I'm not sure you're getting me right. It is because the government did something for them. That's why they are doing this in return. I mean, if the government had not done anything for them initially, they wouldn't be doing this in return. So are the beneficiaries of a government scheme now supposed to be partisan and leaning towards a particular candidate in donation? And let me interrogate further, would you even like to make these donations public, for the sake of equity so we can see the trail of money?
like I said, we have a website. If you log into our website, you see for yourself what is going on there. And those donations, I can't identify the faces that are making the donation. But all they are doing is to ensure that the qualities they have seen in Osinbajo is something to take to bank. And that on that basis, people are identifying with the group to ensure that his candidacy sees the light of the day and that he becomes the next president in 2023.
Okay, Dr.
So
Eli.
we're not compelling anybody, and we're not soliciting for any fund, but people on their own are making donations, and we can't stop that because we need the donations to do our programs and do our political engagements.
Well, Dr. Eli, let's talk about the party itself. Punch newspaper is reporting today on its front page that the party has zoned some positions already, according to sources. Deputy chair to the South-South, secretary to the Southeast, and then the chairmanship to the North Central. Well, if this is true, what are the permutations? How, would that favor your candidate? And it's not just people in the APC calling for Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. Babangida Aliyu, former governor of Niger State, has also been quoted as saying that the most credible person in the APC is Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. What's your reaction to all of this? And is it already given that the presidency in the APC will be zoned to the Southwest now that the APC is offering the Southeast organizing secretary, as reported in the papers today? And you and I, an Igbo man, do you believe in Southeast presidency, or you are like there's this famous man that they say has turned himself into a Yoruba man, although he's from the Southeast? I don't want to embarrass him by mentioning his name.
Thank you, Dr. Ruben. The truth, they say, cannot be hidden. The truth cannot be hidden, no matter how far you try to hide it. The candidacy and the aspiration of Professor Yemi Osinbajo is the truth that Nigerians will begin to profess from now on, because it is the only way that we can get out of a lot of quagmire and golags that we're passing through. Now, the issue of whether I support a Southeasterner to become the president. Presidential ambition is not something you push somebody to go and do. It is a decision. It is something you make consultation with your God. And it is something you ask yourself, am I eligible enough? Am I ripe enough to have this? And then when you convince yourself, you throw your hat to the ring. Yes, I have heard about so many Southeasterners aspiring to become president. But we of the National Coalition group are saying that at this moment of Nigerian history, given the scenario of the moment, the man that the cap fits is Professor Yemi Osinbajo. And it is not out of contest that other people will come up to run for the same position. If tomorrow the ticket is given to another person and the person is a Southeasterner, I will stand and ensure that the person wins, as long as it is APC. But I am convinced that the best that the party can do for itself is to project a man who other political parties are even rooting for to become president. So what are we waiting for? For me, it is the fait accompli. I mean, like I said earlier, he has right of first refusal because he is currently the incumbent vice president. And
no, there's no such thing in the APC constitution. If I may draw your attention to that.
Well, it is not in the constitution. Some of these things are conventional. Some of these things are conventional. But let us leave it as it is, that there will be convention and there will be primaries. And then let's allow the National Assembly to do the amendments and see if it is going to be direct or indirect primary. Whichever way it goes, we are convinced and we know that given the enormous support we are getting from the 774 local governments that are sisters of the Federation, that Professor Yemi Osinbajo will emerge the next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Dibia. We'll keep following, the developments as they unfold.